Next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Fredo Cuomo. Probably a desire to try to regain some relevance. I don't take this with too much seriousness, but it's nonetheless entertaining for a former flack for the DC in the DC press corps for the government party to sort of break bad on Kamala, not Chris Cuomo's Fredo, not Fredo's Mamala.
Kamala Harris is not a godsend, all right? You people didn't even like her 6 months ago. Now all of a sudden, she's black female Jesus, the way Obama was black Jesus. And let me tell you something. He had a lot more going for him than Kamala Harris does. And not just as firsts go, but his type of campaigning, his type of persuasion, his charisma, okay? He was imbued with things that she is not. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just a point of comparison. And her process her also. There's a convenience in it, but it her also. Because there are a lot of misgivings about her. There's an underlying feeling that she didn't get this the right way. She may not have won a primary. She didn't even make it to the first round of primaries when she did run. And that is both fair and unfair at the same time. But look, this idea of don't say anything bad about her because Trump, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And it's not how you get to a better place. It's a relative assessment. She has negatives. So does he. Does he have more? Yeah. He also has a way more intense following. That's why this race is so tight. Now, explain that to me. Unless you want to write off half this country as bigots, how do you explain it being so tight? Maybe you're not as right about everything as you think you are. Maybe you should be a little bit more open to the people that you disagree with. Maybe they're not all racists.
Wow. Well, I don't know. When you lose Fredo, you're in pretty dire straits if you're a man or woman on the left, I suspect. Steve Moore joins us now, economist, author of the just-released The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again, co-authored with the great Art Laffer. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, guys. By the way, we are number one on Amazon for business and economics, thanks to the promotion of the book on the Dan and Amy show. So keep it up, guys.
Make sure we get our cut.
Yeah. You can buy copies of your book at our Freedom Summit because you are going to be there,
yeah,
folks. It's a week from Saturday.
God, rocking and rolling.
November 2nd, the West End, Chicago. I'm doing a live read here, Stephen Moore. Saturday, November 2nd.
You guys have to go. You guys are going to grill me, right? On that Saturday morning. I'm going to be ready to go.
Yeah, after we do calisthenics. Yes. But go to freedomsummitchicago.com to get your tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And I will be punching back. I just want to let you know I'm punching back.
Okay. Don't try to Kamala me by just talking over me when I'm asking you questions. That's not going to work.
Okay. We're not answering the questions at all, right?
All right, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of the question so you can prepare.
Here we go.
Here's first question, and I got this from your Unleash Prosperity newsletter, which is quite good.
Thank you.
How do we save the lawnmower?
By the way, folks, you can get the hotline for free. Just go to unleashprosperity.com, and you can be the smartest person in the room. Well, I'm putting a list together, Dan, and maybe you and Amy can help on this, of all the things that these crazy leftists want to ban. Everything from gas stoves to now lawnmowers. When I was a kid, by the way, I grew up, as you guys know, I grew up in Chicago in the late 60s, early 70s. And back then, we didn't have power motors. We had
you had servants.
Yeah. Hardly. And I remember I was like 9 years old. The lawnmower was like bigger than I was. And I remember listening to stay, and I'd be pushing that. I could barely push that thing, fast enough to get the blades moving, And my dad, get out there and don't come back in the house until you mow the lawn. And I'm like, well, they want to go back to the idea of the push mowers. And, I guess they want electric mowers. But what happens when you, run the lawnmower over the cord? Then, of course, the whole thing breaks. But, another thing. Now they have the latest thing is, I don't know if you heard about this one we had in the hotline a few months ago. they want to get rid of anesthesia. Did you know that?
What?
For like when you have surgery,
Well,
because that emits greenhouse gases into the atmosphere.
what are we all going to do? Shots of whiskey then before the surgery?
Yeah,
Like we used to
like the
do?
old West.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
By the way, I want people like Al Gore and all these liberals to be the first in line to go without anesthesia when they go under the knife.
Well, I mean, look, you got to get rid of the lawnmowers and anesthesia because climate change is coming for us. How do I know this? I'm glad you asked. Because there's an important think piece from CBS News about hurricane season. And hurricane season isn't just for East Coasters anymore, Steve.
Right.
Will climate change put the Chicago area at heightened risk for hurricanes?
How far are you from the ocean?
Well, we did have residuals of Hurricane. Which one? Milton. I can't remember. We were golfing at the time, and it rained for 30 seconds. Right, that's hurricane.
That's called a weather system. Yeah,
Yes.
Right. I understand.
Incidentally, I mean, I think you have a very smart audience, so I don't want to insult people with an obvious point, but far fewer Americans, as a percentage of our population, die from extreme weather conditions like hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and so on. Far fewer today than 100 years ago. So this idea, there's more hurricanes, there's more tornadoes. And by the way, can you explain to me, Tim Walz, when he had the debate with J.D. Vance, and he said, gosh, in Minnesota last year we had a flood, and this year we had a drought. I mean, and that's all climate change. Now, how can climate change cause droughts and floods at the same time? I don't get that. Maybe my mind is too small to understand that. But
yeah,
either climate change causes rain or it causes droughts, but it can't cause both.
On an optimistic note, just in terms of watching models to replicate and scale, and I had this conversation with Victor Davis Hanson yesterday in part two, like the idea, like if Trump
listen to you name dropping.
Well, I did a podcast with him. I mean, I know
you do.
Yeah,
he's a hero of mine.
He's the best. But the question I put to him, and I'll put this to you too, and see if you're as smart as Victor Davis Hanson. So the prospect of Trump getting in, and you've got Milei in Argentina, and you've got Netanyahu prosecuting a war in Churchillian fashion in Israel, and a believer in Western civilization as well, of course. And you have the prospect of like a Polyev replacing Trudeau in Canada. You could have sort of a real.
You could have a return to fascism.
Well, yeah, okay. You could have a real coalition. I know, but you could have a real. How we should look at it. You could have a real coalition of people who are committed to Western civilization and, generally speaking, free markets. I mean, it's sort of exciting that prospect.
It is. And I think there are many reasons this is an important election. But one of the most important is that if America goes left, and I things look good for Trump right now. These next 2 weeks are obviously the most important too. A lot can change. If you're up by 4 points in a football game in the fourth quarter, you can still lose, as the Bears have shown us many times. But the fact is that Kamala Harris is the most anti-business, most leftist candidate the Democrats have ever come up with. And you don't have to just believe me; just the statistics show her voting records when she was in the Senate was to the left of Bernie Sanders. I know you've made that point many times before, but I just want to emphasize it because people forget. She is crazy. She's anti-free market. She's anti-capitalism. And so the problem is if the United States goes left, then the whole world tends to tilt in that direction. If we go free market and freedom, and I think Trump is clearly the freedom candidate, that has an impact. Just like when Reagan won in 1980, the whole world started moving more towards free markets and free enterprise. And so I'm very hopeful, and I think you're onto something, Dan. I think people are fed up. Even in Canada, people are fed up with socialism.
Well, and in Argentina, I mean, Milei, if people are not watching him, they should be. He just announced he's going to shut down the country's tax collection agency.
Yep.
Could you? And he's going to restructure something smaller. I mean, could you imagine the proposal to? I mean, I know it's been talked about, but not really seriously. Abolishing the IRS and like reconstituting it as something very smaller and reining in the tax code to make it decipherable and so forth. I mean, this is what's going on in Argentina. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is. And meanwhile, here, in our current administration, we're hiring tons and tons of thousands of new IRS agents. The left thinks that the solution to everything is, geez, we just had, in fact, I just did a debate at University of Maryland last night. It was a friendly debate, but, the other guy said, well, what are you guys going to do to cut the $2 trillion annual deficit? We're going to hire more IRS agents. That was the solution.
Right.
Now, Stephen Moore, did you, I recall, didn't you used to work at McDonald's? Were you the 1 in 8 Americans who worked there?
Yeah, well, I have that on my resume, but the truth is there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
By the way, there's a great meme, about, what kind of a loser actually has such an unaccomplished career that they lie on the resume about working at McDonald's. but
is that true? I mean, I've been reading this endlessly because I'm so obsessed. As somebody who used to work in the fast food industry, I worked at Diamond Dave's in Ranchers, second floor, next to the Sabero's Pizza. I thought that was such a real, genuine moment with Trump, and the left is losing their minds over it, saying that was staged. Well, everything's staged. I mean, everything politicians do because there's safety issues at hand where people have to be vetted.
It was it was a great moment for Trump. I mean, I have to say, the Trump campaign. Look, they've made mistakes, over the last 9 months, but I think the last few weeks, Trump has got his game on, and he's just outsmarting Kamala, and they're so angry about that McDonald's thing because it just worked. It was funny, and it was cute, and it was clever, and I just wish I'd been in the line at the saying, can I get fries with that, Mr. President? But he has kind of this common man's touch, and it's working. And
well, yeah, he's been owning the news cycle. I mean, then he went to a barber shop, then he went to a football game. No, I mean, he's really on fire right now.
Yeah, he is. You know where I'm going to be on Sunday?
Where?
Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
I'll be backstage with the president, so that's really cool. They were saying, by the way, to emphasize your point, Amy, that and this is, I don't have the facts to confirm this, but this is the rumor, that there are 6 times as many people who tried to get tickets than can fit in Madison Square Garden.
Wow.
Well, I mean, Robert Cahaley, the pollster from Trafalgar Group, he told me that, if there was if there's states that are not in the battleground category right now that are just outside it, Virginia could be one if there's this Trump surge.
Yes.
He said New York.
And Minnesota, right?
No, not Minnesota. He said New York.
Minnesota, but Trump could win Minnesota.
I don't think so. He doesn't think so.
Okay, well, I think it's more likely he wins Minnesota than New York, but he is going. Here's where I kind of put the race right now. 1/3 chance that Trump wins a narrow race, 1/3 chance that he wins, a red wave election, and 1/3 that Kamala will win. But I'm still waiting to hear. Have you heard yet what she's going to do differently than Biden? I still haven't heard an answer to that.
She's not Joe Biden, Steve.
Because she's a woman to begin with. She's a woman, don't you know? That's what she said on to Haley Jackson last night.
So you know where I'm going to be on Saturday, Steve?
Oh, boy.
Northwestern.
No. Are you crazy? Why would I waste my time there? I'm going to be on a part of the Trump flotilla in Southwest Florida, departing from Marco Island, going to Naples.
Oh, that is that.
Fly me in for that, please.
Those are cool. I've been to those.
Cool.
Those are awesome. With everybody has the lights on, and well, that's going to be really neat. I mean, but look, I'm feeling good about things right now. But I want to make sure that people. I always tell people you have to do 2 things. You've got to vote early, because if you vote early, you have 100% propensity of voting. If you wait till Election Day, a lot of people, just forget or they don't go out. And the second thing you have to do if you care about our country is buy the Trump economic miracle.
Nice. Yeah, nicely done.
No, real
nicely
quick,
done. Way
Steve.
to shame people into buying your book. Very good.
Yeah, good try. Good plug. Do you? I like a paper ballot. I don't like people who are using machines. It makes me nervous. Am I too old school here?
I feel like there's somebody who's going to change my vote or
yes.
something. Remember Dan? Do you remember the Hanging Chads?
Of course, 2000. Yeah, of course.
Name of his high school band after that.
It turned. Yeah, exactly. Talking Heads cover band. It was changed how Florida administers elections. And now Florida's one of the best, and we'll have our election results on election night.
Yeah, and are we going to have clean elections in Chicago this year?
It doesn't matter. It's a one-party state, Soviet.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see though, Dan and Stephen Moore, how many more votes Trump gets as compared to 2016 and 2020 in Illinois.
Yeah, he may narrow the margin. He may narrow the margin. Stephen Moore, economist.
Guys, a week from Saturday, right?
Yep.
Week from Saturday, he's at Freedom Summit. Be sure to bring a book so he can sign it. The Trump Economic Miracle with Art Laffer. Steve, thanks as always.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices.